is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC Vegas 74 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, June 3rd, 2023 at Las Vegas, Nevada in the UFC Apex Arena. Karine versus Albazi in the main event for the flyweight, in the flyweight division. And then co-main event, Alex Caceres taking on Daniel Pineda in a featherweight bout. Not anything that stands out on this card. Maybe the main event, but you know, you got Andrei Arlovski on it for the casuals, maybe, if you remember Andrei Arlovski, but nothing crazy, right? It's one of those UFC Apex cards that, unfortunately, it's just hard to get the hype going with these. They're late at night too. No one really knows anyone on the card. Opportunity though for some of these fighters to stand out, I guess, but it's that oversaturated card that just feels like it kind of got put together randomly, and just throw some guys on there, figure it out. No build up, nothing crazy. So hopefully it's a banger. Sometimes they are, even though they're in the Apex. But let's go ahead and jump right into the first fight. In the first fight on the main card, we have Abubakar Nurmagomedov, 17-3-1, taking on Elizeu dos Santos, 23-7. For Nurmagomedov, classic, right? He's got the wrestling. I would say, though, because it doesn't seem like he's got that grindy wrestling, though, where he's able to kind of keep up that pace and chain the takedowns. I mean, don't get me wrong, his grappling obviously is pretty strong, but he doesn't seem like one of those dominant Nurmagomedov Russian fighters that's coming in here and just slamming people on the floor, right? He has low volume in his fights. In his first fight, he got subbed, so that's a little bit concerning for him. Not that Dos Santos is going to sub him or anything, but I just feel like Dos Santos has far more experience inside the UFC. And then on top of that, I think Dos Santos is a lot more active fighter on the feet. He's going to put up that volume. He's going to bring the aggression. He's going to try to stay in the fight. He's going to land heavy shots. He's going to try to wear on you, right? Try to break you down. So if Nurmagomedov is unable to get some of these takedowns, right, which we've seen him not land some of these takedowns before, 1 for 4 in his last fight on takedowns, and then the fight against Jared Gooden, 1 of 5. So we've seen him not get takedowns. Now he still won those fights, but again, he's gassing out a little bit right towards the end of the fights, and both those fights were via decision. On the feet, I would say his stand-up isn't anything special. Nothing really stands out. I mean, he's got pretty decent hands, but I think he would probably prefer to grapple, take you down, just wear on you, try to break you down like that. But again, when he's taking these people down, it's not like he's mounting them or he's looking for positions, but it's just not as dominant as we've seen some of these other Russian fighters with the last name Nurmagomedov be able to come into the octagon and then pull off these really fantastic victories, right? Really dominant victories. 2 unanimous decision wins, and then his first loss in the UFC via sub in the triangle choke. I don't know. I'm not really impressed by it. Now he's going up against, like I said, a killer who's going to bring the fight to him, right? He's coming off of a win in his last fight against Benoit Saint Denis in his last one. Dos Santos got the unanimous decision victory and put up 149 significant strikes to Saint Denis' 67. So he absolutely put up the volume, dominated that one. He got taken down, and that's the other thing. He can get taken down. I'm not actually concerned if he gets taken down, because I think on the feet, he's going to be so aggressive. He's going to land heavy shots. He's going to be in his face. And he has a pretty good chin as well. I mean, even against Muslim Salikov, he lost via split decision. So it was a pretty close decision. And then even against Li Jingling, which he got knocked out. But before that, he was on a win streak, and he only lost his first fight in the UFC against Nicholas Dalby. So he's a pretty tough bastard. He can get the submissions as well. So Nurmagomedov's got to be a little bit careful on that one. But like I said, I just think Dos Santos, even if he does get taken down, maybe he gets taken down a couple times or whatever, I think when he's on the feet, I just think he's going to be overwhelming. He's going to be the guy, like second, third round possibly, where he's still bringing the fight. He's still landing the big shots. And Nurmagomedov might be like, oh shit, like I can't take this guy down as effectively as I was. Now he's like pressing the action. He's starting to tee off on me. He's a little gassed, but he's still like just in my face. He's not letting me breathe. And that's just going to be a lot. Now, obviously, if Nurmagomedov takes Dos Santos down and is able to just kind of fully mount him or something and crushes him, submits him, that's to be unfortunate. But I'm willing to go with Dos Santos on this one. I just think he's going to be all around the better fighter versus just one aspect. And his toughness and just his aggression, I think it could play well into this one as well. Stuff to takedowns, get in his face, and try to go for that finish. Maybe in the third round, right? Nurmagomedov is struggling a little bit, not finding too much success on the feet. He's going to start to get teed off on. So for me, I'm going to go Elizeu Dos Santos to defeat Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I'll take him to win by round 3, KO TKO. In the second fight on the main card, we have Karine Silva, 15-4, taking on Ketlen Souza, 13-3 outside of the UFC in a women's flyweight bout. Now, Karine Silva's coming in this fight with a win over Poliana Botello. She's got 2 fights. Well, I guess 1 fight inside of the UFC, technically, because the Dana White Contender Series win was not inside the UFC, I guess. But she's got that win. Last fight, submission via Darce choke in round number 1. So that was a pretty good win for her. She's overall, I think, a pretty solid fighter, right? She's got patience, right? She's more technical. She's not really brawling. She's got some pretty good kicks. Great ground game, though. I think, obviously, getting those takedowns and then advancing position on the floor, that's going to be a lot to deal with for Souza, and Silva's probably going to look to do that. Got some pretty good head kicks as well, good leg kicks. Like I said, I think she's very technical on the feet. Nothing crazy, but she's not... It doesn't look sloppy, right? She looks like she can handle herself on the feet. But I think the strong suit is obviously more of the grappling. Now for Ketlen Souza, she's coming in this fight, making her UFC debut. I think she's the underdog in this fight. Coming off a win over Christina Williams in Invicta. She got the unanimous decision in that fight. She has pretty good leg kicks. I think her game works more for her when she's in close, so she's not necessarily going to be fighting from range. She kind of reminds me of Jessica Andrade, where she needs to kind of get on the inside and start landing some heavy shots. Obviously, Souza's going to need to defend the takedowns. Now, that's the one thing against Christina Williams. We saw her got taken down in that. She's been taken down, right? So I would assume maybe Silva's going to be able to get her on the floor, and then that's just a matter of whether Souza's going to be able to get back up and not get submitted. She can't get stuck on the ground. Now, I will say this, though. I think Souza reversed the position against Christina Williams, and she was landing some pretty good elbows, ended up cutting her open and just busting her open. So, again, power in close. She can land some elbows. I think she's pretty dangerous, even if she's on the floor, right? Who knows? Maybe she reverses the position. But I still think Silva's going to have the upper hand in the grappling. Let's see what Ketlen Souza is able to come in here and do. With a women's fight, it could be really close, even though one's making her debut and she's a plus 175 underdog. But that doesn't really mean anything when it comes to this stuff, because it could be a close decision. Maybe, Souza's very motivated to come into the UFC, so she's like, I want to make a statement, and that could help her. And maybe improvements that are made in between fights, so you don't really know. Maybe Souza is able to defend the takedowns. Maybe she doesn't get taken down. But for me, again, you don't really know. Silva, you kind of know that she's probably going to try to grapple here, but you don't really know with the debut fighter Ketlen Souza what she's going to look at. Who knows how she's going to come in here. Maybe she changes up her game. Maybe she grapples. I hardly doubt it, but either way, who knows. So for me, I'm going to go with Karine Silva, and I'll take her to put Souza down in her debut. I'll take Karine Silva to defeat Ketlen Souza by round 2 submission. In the third fight on the main card, we have Tim Elliott, 19-12-1, taking on Victor Altamirano, 12-2, in a flyweight bout. For Tim Elliott, veteran in the game in the flyweight division, coming into this fight with kind of a gatekeeper attitude, right? He's fighting top-level guys. Unfortunate, doesn't get the victories, and then he kind of falls back down in the fighting prospects or whatever you want to call it. And then that's how he kind of continues. And he's one of these guys who, because he's been in there forever, he's constantly coming in and staying aggressive, getting in your face, looking for takedowns, just trying to do everything he can. And he can keep that pace up, keep coming at you, and kind of just tries to break you down over time, I think. And it'll be interesting to see whether Altamirano is going to be able to handle that, because I think Altamirano, we saw that in his last fight against Salvador, which he won that fight via unanimous decision. He did land 3 takedowns in that one. he did slow down a little bit in that fight, and it's just I don't see Tim Elliott slowing down. Even if Tim Elliott gets caught or whatever, like both guys I think can get caught. Altamirano maybe a little bit more. I think he might eat some of these shots a little bit worse, but at the same time, Altamirano does have some good wrestling, so maybe he defends a couple of these takedowns that Tim Elliott tries to get. But overall, I just feel like Elliott's going to keep pouring it on him, keep trying to break him down, and that's where I feel like Altamirano might struggle a little bit. Because if Altamirano starts to get a little bit tired, maybe he finds success early, maybe he is able to get a takedown, or maybe he does land some pretty heavy shots. But the longer the fight goes on, the more I think Elliott's going to pull off like a decision. I think both guys are pretty tough, so I don't really see anyone getting like absolutely crushed. I mean, at the end of the day, anyone can get caught. But I just have to side with Tim Elliott just because I don't know. I think he's going to be able to just keep outpacing him and just throwing everything at him, right? Staying in his face, staying active, and just popping something out there. And he has some good scrambles, Elliott as well. And I think he can go in for takedowns and come out of it and still be active, right? He's not going to just be gassed out and just, not doing anything. I think he's got that kind of fighter in him where he's kind of nonstop, right? And in order to stop him, you really have to keep him at bay, defend those takedowns, punish him when you're on the feet too, right? Or keep it a low volume fight. Maybe try to keep it low volume. Just kind of back Elliott up, get him against the fence, see if you can land your own stuff on him. But even in fights where Tim Elliott's losing, he's still landing like a significant amount of takedowns. I mean, he got a takedown against Davison Figueiredo before he got, and he landed more significant strikes on him before Figueiredo submitted him. But that's the thing too, is I think both guys could probably land a submission if they get a little bit careless. Elliott, we've seen him land submissions before. Altamirano, he has a KO victory, split decision. So, I mean, we haven't seen submissions out of him, but I'm sure he could get one. But, like I said, Elliott, pace, aggression, throwing everything at you, breaking you down. Things will be a lot to deal with. So, I'm going to go Tim Elliott to defeat Victor Altamirano. I'll take him to win by decision. In the fourth fight on the main card, we have Jim Miller, 35-17, taking on Jared Gordon, 19-6, in a lightweight bout. Jim Miller, veteran in the game at this point. There's a lot of veterans in the game at this point, I guess. But yeah, Jim Miller, veteran in the game. I would say more known for grappling, right? Not a guy you want taking your back or anything like that, fighting him on the floor. Also has some pretty good stand-up. I mean, against Alexander Hernandez, he showed some pretty good durability in that one. Hernandez landed 108 to his 67 significant strikes, put us some pretty good damage on Jim Miller. Jim Miller was unable to get one takedown in that fight. He only went for one, but he kind of kept it a stand-up fight, and I don't think that was like best case scenario for him. He has a pretty good left hand. His high kick, I think, is a little bit, you don't really see that one coming, but then it comes up and gotta duck under. You gotta get that one out of there. Before his loss to Alexander Hernandez, he defeated Donald Cerrone. Obviously, Cerrone, I think, not the same Cerrone when they fought that first time, and then obviously retired. Nicholas Mota, he defeated him at KO/TKO in round number 2. Eric Gonzalez defeated him KO/TKO in round number 2. Lost to Joe Solecki. Bench Pichel. Roosevelt Roberts, he defeated him via armbar. Scott Holtzman lost to him. And then you get a little bit. He hasn't really fought any, outside of maybe Donald Cerrone, but that was obviously at a wrong time. He's been fighting kind of like prospects here and there. Hasn't really fought anyone like in the top in the lightweight division in a little bit. But he's been in there. He keeps chugging away. He's trying to go for it. And like I said, not a guy. And Jim Miller's one of these guys where at any moment he can get that submission. I mean, we even saw that against Alexander Hernandez, had him in a bad spot in the last minute of the fight or whatever. So not a guy you want to even risk getting in that bad spot. And for Jared Gordon, that could limit him, right? Because maybe he doesn't go in for that grappling. Maybe Jared Gordon is a little bit hesitant to to go for some wrestling. We know he can, but in this case, I would probably go on the side for Gordon to probably try to use his grappling, wrestling to defend the takedowns, to defend the grappling, to stay off the floor, because I just don't think you get into that realm with a guy who would actually probably prefer the fight to be there anyways. And coming off his last loss against Hernandez, where he didn't really even go in for a takedown outside of one time, might try to do that here. For Gordon, he's coming off of a no contest against Bobby Green. They head clashed. Not much to say in that fight. I think Bobby Green was landing like barely a little bit more, but Gordon was, I mean, it's just, he can land some heavy shots and close, but we didn't really get to see anything there. Against Paddy Pimblett, lost that fight via unanimous decision. Arguably, though, might have been on the wrong side of that. So that was a competitive fight. Landed 3 takedowns on Paddy Pimblett. And, he went for 6 and got 3. I think he also has good takedown defense. Jared Gordon defeated Leonardo Santos via unanimous decision. Really put up the numbers on him. Kind of shut down Santos in that fight. 116 significant strikes to Santos's 36. Lost to Grant Dawson before that via submission. And see, that's where it starts to get concerning. Round 3, rear naked choke, right? And Gordon was landing more in that fight, but he did get taken out 7 times. So I think in this one for Gordon, he has to land those big shots on Miller early on, really get him in trouble, shake him off his game, because I think there is a little bit to Miller. He's durable, but he's definitely eaten some pretty big shots. I mean, especially in his last fight against Hernandez. Hernandez was really starting to find success on the feet, and Miller might try to take down Gordon or try to submit him, and it could happen. I could definitely see it happening, but I kind of like Gordon's position in this one. I think he's going to have some opportunities to drop bombs on Miller. Miller not necessarily, he doesn't have like the best defense, right? I could definitely see him getting clipped in this one. It's just a matter of whether or not Gordon plays this one safe, and what he can't give Miller opportunities to take him down. That's kind of what I'm saying. He's really got to hurt him early, stay on him if he hurts him, and just try to light him up on the feet and defend any grappling. And I think Jared Gordon can do that. I think Jared Gordon's last two matches really pissed him off. Losing to Paddy Pimblett when he might have won that, depending on other judges or whatever, and then having a no contest against Bobby Green via headbutt. It just kind of set him back again. So it was I think he really wants to go in here and try to get a win, right? And not just like a boring win or whatever. I really think he wants to get a pretty exciting win. But it's going to be hard to finish Jim Miller, because Miller can definitely eat some shit, man. Like, he got pretty beat up by Alexander Hernandez, and he was just kept coming. And, this dude almost submits him in the 3rd round. So Jared Gordon's got to be careful. But I think if he can play this one safe and, like I said, just utilize the power on the feet and then defensively defend any takedowns, kind of circle out, don't get stuck up against the fence, keep circling, land hard shots, maybe you clip them or whatever, and then you get to finish them. But maybe not. So on this one, I'm going to go Jared Gordon. You know what? Jim Miller's pretty tough. So I'm going to go Jared Gordon to defeat Jim Miller. I'll take him to win by decision. In the co-main event of the evening, we have Alex Caceres, 20-13, taking on Daniel Pineda, 28-14 in a featherweight bout. And for this one, Alex Caceres, veteran in the game, been in the UFC this entire time. Now, obviously, Pineda has also been in the UFC. I don't know if he was in there for the entire time, but he had some injuries recently. But he's definitely been in there for a while, or at least going all the way back to UFC on Fox. Let's talk about Pineda first. He's coming off of a win over Tucker Lutz, submission, guillotine choke in round number 2. Got a takedown, got a knockdown in that fight. Before that, he had the no contest with Andrei Fili. I believe it was because of the eye poke or whatever. I thought Andrei Fili was definitely going to win that fight. Before that, he lost to Cub Swanson, KO TKO in round number 2. Defeated Herbert Burns before that. Lost to Robert Whiteford. Lost to Diego Brentao. And then just going back too far. So I don't know. I mean, Daniel Pineda, I think he probably has like he has that kind of striking where he definitely can be hit, but he has power, and you don't want to just be trading shots with this guy. And his wrestling is not too bad either, right? He can probably get in there, get those takedowns. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that against Caceres, just because I think Caceres has some pretty decent wrestling to himself, and he also can threaten with a lot of those submissions. Caceres is not a guy you want climbing on your back and throwing up a guillotine on you as well, right? It's not something you want. On top of that, I think Caceres definitely can take advantage of Pineda's moments where he's getting tagged up a little bit. I think Caceres, we saw against Julian Erosa, right? I think Erosa didn't even see that head kick coming. That's why he got knocked out. And that's why he got put down. So I could see Pineda doing something similar where like he's getting a little aggressive and then Caceres counters him big. Maybe he drops in that left hand, throws up a kick. Like, who knows, right? And then is able to take him out of there. But I think it's going to be a tough fight for Pineda just because of how well-rounded Caceres is. His cardio is really good. He's able to compete with these guys, put out the volume. I think his defensive grappling's pretty decent as well. So, like I said, his movement's good. He's got that. He's moving around, throwing a lot of kicks. Like he's gonna put up more attack, I think, and it's just gonna be an opportunity for him to probably KO Pineda, and then that's gonna be it. Like I really just think Pineda, that was a good win in his last fight against Tucker Lutz. I think he was like a big underdog in that fight. Maybe Tucker Lutz got a little bit careless in that one. At the end of the day, you get caught, and we've seen Caceres definitely be caught before and put down a little bit, but he's never. I don't think he, inside the UFC, or against Francisco Rivera, he got finished. He's been subbed before, so that's a little concerning. But he's also had his fair share of submissions. But yeah, as far as getting like absolutely flatlined, he's not really having that happen to him. I think he knows how to win a good decision. He can definitely attack the legs, like I said, go to the body, drop in his left hand, utilize some grappling. I think he can hang there. So yeah, I just like Alex Caceres to win this fight because I think he's a little bit more well-rounded. He has more opportunities to I think take advantage of Pineda, especially when it comes to strikes absorbed per minute. Pineda has a little bit more, but he has less fights. Alex Caceres has 2.92 strikes absorbed per minute, and he has a lot more fights in the UFC than Daniel Pineda. So I still think Caceres' defense is a little better. And Pineda has there's going to be moments where Caceres is going to be able to tee off on him. So who knows? I mean, obviously Pineda, he was a pretty big underdog in his last fight, and he ended up winning that one. But Caceres is a very tough outing, I think, for anyone, especially if you think you're just going to run through him. So I'm going to go with Alex Caceres to defeat Daniel Pineda. I'll take the win by round 2 KO TKO. In the main event of the evening, we have Kai Kara-France, 24-10, taking on Amir Albazi, 16-1, in a flyweight bout. And this is going to be, I think, a pretty competitive bout. Maybe Albazi is able to come out here and look really good, or Kai Kara-France is going to be like, hey, don't forget about me. But for me, I think this is going to be a pretty tough fight for Kai Kara-France. Now, I know Kai Kara-France is coming off of a loss against Brandon Moreno, right? So he just fought for the championship in July of last year, and that was a pretty good fight, right? He did get taken out with that body shot, but he was finding some success here and there. I think Moreno was frustrating him a little bit, getting him to come in and make some mistakes, counter him. Kai Kara-France landed a takedown in that fight. We have seen Kai Kara-France get taken down, though. He still has a pretty solid takedown defense, 87%. Lower volume in a lot of his fights. Not too many strikes landed against his opponents, but he also has been able to KO some people, right? I think the Cody Garbrandt fight really put him on the map with that. But Garbrandt at that time was maybe he still is. We'll have to see. At least at that division, could be a little bit chinny. Defeated Askarov, even though Askarov landed 2 takedowns, but Kai Kara-France was just able to put up more volume on him, defend some takedowns. Kara-France did lose to Brandon Moreno twice, so, but at the same time, he's fought these top level guys, right? He's been in the division fighting these killers and has been able to hang with them. For Amir Albazi, he's coming off of a win over Alessandro Costa, and he got that victory over him, KO TKO in round number 3. Nasty hands, man. Definitely has some power, pretty good chin. You know, he's got 2 wins by submission. He's got a unanimous decision victory, and then he's got his KO TKO in his last fight. Really solid guy, very patient, Albazi, right? He's not there to make too many mistakes. He's not overreaching when he punches. He's just really trying to get that timing down, and he trusts his power. He can land some pretty hard shots, so it's gonna be a tough fight. For Albazi, you know, good leg kicks. I already said he has a really good power. Really utilizes the jab as well. Set some pretty good shots with the jab. Great time takedowns, Albazi. So I could see Albazi going in for some takedowns. And again, I think both guys are going to be hard to take down, but you know, we'll have to see how that plays out. Kara-France, though, I think he's a little bit underrated, right? I think people look at him and are like, you know, what's this guy going to bring to the table? But he has good low kicks. Good overhand, right? You know, he has pretty good overhand. Obviously, the takedown defense is there, and I think both guys are really going to test that early on. He did have trouble going forward against Brandon Moreno. Moreno's making it really tough for him to get in close and do any damage. Moreno was doing a great job of that. Yeah, I mean, against Brandon Moreno, he just ate a nasty body shot and just got put down. I mean, not much to it. Now, that being said, I feel like Albazi could do this, not necessarily a body shot, but it's just because Albazi just needs to land like one big shot, and it could alter the way the fight goes. And that's the scary part about someone like Amir Albazi, is that he looks like a killer. The explosiveness is there. It's like he's just waiting for his opportunity, and bam, but he can also take you down, right? Tough fighter. And I don't know, it could be competitive fight for both these guys until it isn't, right? One of these dudes makes one little mistake and it's all over. Something just tells me that Amir Albazi is a killer, man. Like, he's coming in here and he's really gonna try to go after it. But it's a 5-round fight, so I think it could be a pretty tough fight for both guys. And you know, both guys are pretty tough. Let me see if Kara-France, outside of getting finished in his last fight via the body kick, he got submitted. But yeah, I mean, he only got finished in that last fight. So I still think Kara-France is tough. You know, just ate the right body shot that put him away. But with that being said, I think Kara-France is probably gonna try to hang in this one. Really, I don't know. He's gonna have to draw out Albazi a little bit more, right? Get him to make some big mistakes, because Albazi is just gonna, I feel like he's gonna chill out. Like, he's gonna be really chill early on, find his timing, and just try to land a couple hard shots. Maybe go in for his takedowns or defend them. But yeah, it's gonna be difficult. I think Kara-France could get a little frustrated in there, and then that's when he makes his mistake, and then he gets clipped or something. But let's say none of that happens and they don't, you know, it's very competitive. I think it'll go to a decision then. So I'm gonna go Amir Albazi. I think it's a close fight. Albazi is a tough dude though, and looking real scary over there. So I'm gonna go Amir Albazi to defeat Kara-France. I'll take him to win by a close decision. And so that'll do it, guys, for my UFC Vegas 74 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, June 3rd, 2023. Tell me, who do you think is going to win? Kara-France, Amir Albazi? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.